Hello, my name's Timothy Nelson, Local Lodge 1487, and I'm here talking to you today about the IAM Pension Fund. This video is going to be an educational and informational video. It's probably going to be boring to anybody wanting just a quick recap of this pension. This pension is going to go over the documentation of the pension, references to everything that we say and do here in this video, the health of the pension, the history of this pension, the law, the application of the law, questions and answers, and then like the scandal of the IAM pension that happened 2 years ago. So it's going to be all inclusive and exhaustive. And so we'll get started with the documents. First off, the documents I'm using to make citations for everything that I'm about to say in this video mostly is going to be from the Bible of the IAM pension, which I call it the Bible of the IAM pension. It's the actuarial evaluation report. This here's the latest one, dated October 2016. And this document you can have access to. I will gladly email it to anybody who asks. Negotiating team members really need a copy of this, really do, because there's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of pension salespeople out there, and a lot of our negotiators, unfortunately, you just listen to whatever somebody tells them. And, oh, the pension's good. Really? Well, what do you mean it's good? What's the health of the pension? There's a lot of unanswered questions. And so that's what we're going to unpack today. And you can also get a copy of this, maybe 40, 50 pages. You can get a copy if you're a member of the IAM Pension Fund. You have a right to get a copy of this by requesting one from the IAM Pension Fund Plan Administrator. I did that. It took a while. And then they sent me the wrong one. They don't want to send it to anybody, by the way, because there's a lot of stuff in here a lot of information that kind of spins your head about the IAM Pension Plan. So another good reference other than this is go to the IAM National Pension Plan official website. There's a lot of great information there. It's the IAMNPF.org. And I recommend going there. Then you can click National Pension Plan. And then you can click, pension fund notices. And that'll take you to the history of this plan. Excuse me. And you can also scroll down to the notification of changes. It's very important to read this stuff. I mean, big time. Because you got to know that it's nice to know the history. Now, some of you watching this, you're not concerned about the history. You just want to know the current health. I get that. But I'm going to start with the history of this plan first. And so, it goes back till 2003. That's the only history I could find of the plan. So for the purposes of this video, pretty much the last 15 years, we go back to the last 15 years. So the history of the plan started in 2003. I became a member in March 2003 of this plan, thank God, because in April 2003, the plan was taking on water, and so the plan trustees had to make a funding notice change. A funding policy change. And so they created a B scale of benefits, which was about half of the A scale of benefits. And what this did was it gave the plan breathing room for a certain amount of time, presumably because of the market problem in 2001. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the 2001 information. But, they made a funding policy change in 2003 by creating the B scale of plan benefits. And what that did was it took off billions of dollars of future fund liabilities. And then, in 7 or 8 years later, in 2011, the fund was underfunded again, not by much, went down to 98%. And so, but the plan trustees, they had to make another, they wanted to get the plan funded correctly. And so they eliminated the A scale of benefits, which I was on. I was on the A scale of benefits. But the fund trustees had to eliminate billions of dollars so the plan would not go into critical status or leave the green status. And so when they did that, the funding went from 98% to 108%. It jumped overnight 10% higher, because what happens is you keep your, your current assets, right? And then you eliminate, a few $1 billion on the liability. So, it teeters back up to overfunded. Now, practically for me, that meant my benefits as a active participant went from, I believe it was $83 or $84 a month times the amount of years, down to $46 or $47. I think it was, somewhere around a 47-48% cut in my future benefits. Not good, not good. I worked for U.S. Airways at the time, and anybody that was on the IAM pension fund prior to April of 2003 got their benefits cut, and including me. Not good. And so, at any rate, that's the history. The current history. Going to the health of the plan. And the health of the plan is very objective. Most of the information is pulled off of the evaluation report. I'm just going to read over the numbers. These are numbers that you're going to want to know, because this not only gives you the current numbers and the health of the plan, but you can pretty much do your own math and on where things are headed, on a graph. Are things headed, up, or things headed down? Like I said, I'm going to leave my opinion out of this, but I'm just going to give you the numbers here. Number one, the investment loss of this plan last year was $815 million. That was just the investment loss. Okay, now the plan assumes a 7.5% investment return. $815 million represented a negative investment return. Now, I don't know what the fund manager, what he's doing. I do see the pie. I seen that he was not heavily invested into stocks. I think stocks was like 11%. I don't have each specific investment, but we lost money just on our investment money last year. And so, number two, a liability loss. Separate from the investment loss, there was a liability loss of $108 million. And of course, the actuary report breaks it down into, why there was this, $100 million loss. And one of the more significant ones was that the participants were living longer than the plan anticipated or assumed. Number three, the AVA funded ratio of the plan is only 84% funded. This isn't the ratio they use to determine green status, okay? But this dropped significantly last year to only 84% funded ratio with the AVA. And again, this is on page 3 of the valuation report. And number 4, the number of active participants in this plan decreased last year. I think there's 95,000 active participants in this plan as of this report. And that's on page 3 as well. It decreased. As a note, I just got an email from my company, American Airlines, yesterday, August 25th, in which they emailed all the IAM pension participants, including myself. There's about 11,000 of us on American Airlines property, that they have proposed to the union, the IAM, that they have no intentions on keeping us in the IAM pension fund, and that they want to walk away from that and put us into a 9% 401k. I'll document that. I'll put that email, that official document from American Airlines, on the script of this video underneath it, and along with all these other documentations, so everything will be cited and referenced underneath the video, so that you can, cross-check all the information that I'm giving you right here. Excuse me. Number 5. The average age of the participants, the active participants in this plan, increased. It went from, I don't know what it went from, but it increased, and it's now almost 49 years old. It's like, 48 years, 4 months. And you want to get a copy of this report because it actually breaks down each age segment like 5 years, 5-year brackets. And right now, I think the largest age segment in as far as active participants is 55 to 59. It's about 18% of all participants are 55 to 59 years old. Of course, the lowest, I think it's like 2%, is the participants from 20 to 25, and you would expect that in the plan. So, excuse me. So the average age participation is like 48 and a half. It's a very old participation. Number 6, total participation. Let me see. The total participation collecting increased. So the amount of people retired in this plan and are collecting benefits increased last year by 4%. And that's on page 6 of the valuation report. Number 7. The fund amortized the massive losses in 2008 over 10 years, including last year. So, excuse me, a lot of people say, well, hey, the fund, took on heavy losses in 2008. And we're past that. Well, you're really not past this, because what happened was unions had 2 choices. They could have absorbed the market meltdown immediately in 2008 for 2009. But if they would have done that and took on those massive losses, which a lot of unions did, it would have pretty much put the plan in critical status then, or put it in critical status, a few years later. So that's what we have. We have a big mess of union pensions in critical status. You can Google multi-employer plans today on Google, and there's a new union calling for relief with the United States Treasury every day. And so, but the alternative was to, this was allowed under law, was to amortize these massive losses over 10 years, which the IAM wisely did. And a lot of unions wisely amortized this heavy market meltdown over 10 years. For us, what it means today is our plan's taken a 10% hit this year. It took a 10% hit last year. So you're absorbing these 2008 losses until like 2020. And so we're not really past 2008 yet. But, we're getting there, I guess. So I wanted to note that. That's also a reason why the plan is, getting underfunded here in, on a sliding scale down. Number 8, the fund has had a negative cash flow every year over the past 11 years. The average negative cash flow each year over those 11 years is $170 million. This is explained on page 22. The vested benefits of the plan at this time, according to the update, is only 90%. So the vested benefits is only 90% funded. That's also on page 22. Number 11, when we get into plan funding policies here, you have the spousal offset policy, so that here's how that goes. If you retire, fine, you get your benefit, but if you want your wife or husband to get the benefit if you pass away, then there's an offset depending on how old he or she is, and how much your benefit is. It may be a further reduction of hundreds of dollars, could be $1,000, I guess, I don't know. But you got to go to the IAM Pensions website, and they have a calculator in there, and you plug in, your wife's age and or your husband's age, and you figure out from there, how much your reduction of your benefit's going to be. There's also something called a suspension. When you do retire underneath this plan, you can't collect the plan and then decide, well, hey, look, I want to go back to work. in a similar job. So you got to be careful. If you do retire, make sure that you're aware that you can't go back into a similar job or a trade that you retired from. So you want to check with the plan administrator on that stuff. And of course, service credits. You have to have 1,600 hours a year to qualify for your full benefit for that particular year. 1,600 hours, divided by 52, what is that, like 32 or 33 hours a week. And so for a lot of our part-time active participants, you're going to want to look at that because there's a sliding scale. You're going to want to go to the IAM Pension website again, and you want to look at the sliding scale there. At 16 hours, it doesn't matter if you work 2,000 hours or 3,000 hours. You're only going to get the same benefit, okay? It's 1,600 hours, anything above 1,600 hours plus, it's 100% of your benefit. You're not going to increase your benefit if you work more. But if you work less, at 1,400, I think it's 80%. 1,200 hours, you're looking at, I think, a 60%. Check for yourself. You can do that on the IAM Pension website. So that's the health of the plan. Now, the law. The actual law regarding union pensions. You're going to want to Google this. It's very interesting stuff because there's a lot of different types of defined benefit plans. You have company defined benefit plans, but they're under a whole different set of rules. Governmental rules. They're under a whole different set of laws. They have different guarantees than a union defined benefit plan. Do I think that's wrong? Absolutely, it's wrong. Okay, but the Congress of the United States, for whatever reason, I don't want to get into politics, but the Congress of the United States has been a lean towards companies and supporting company defined pensions as opposed to union defined pensions. The Congress really doesn't want to be in the business of bailing out or helping union pension plans. We're kind of on our own. What that means is the PBGC, which supposedly guarantees these plans, they have guarantee levels that are much lower. The PPGC guarantees only, if you got a max guarantee, it's only $35 a month in a union pension times the amount of years. If you have 10 years, $350 a month is your guarantee. It doesn't matter if your pension was, your monthly benefit was $1,500 or $2,000. The most you're going to get is $35 a month. That's the only guarantee. They don't guarantee your whole pension. They only guarantee a very, very small percentage of it. Unlike a company pension where, the guarantees are greater, if the company terminates your plan. I have a terminated plan myself, and, that was a different guarantee than the IAM Pension Fund. Also, part of the guarantees are, funding. There has to be funding to even make the guarantees. And so the PPGC, under the union guarantees, says that the fund's going to go broke in 2025. And so if Congress doesn't put more funds in, or have the unions put more funds in as far as insurance to guarantee our benefits, something's going to have to give before 2025, and that's what, 7-8 years away. So and you can Google all that. It's all there. The funding level is critical according to the PPGC. And I'm talking about their funding level, and they're requesting more money from Congress and that type of thing. How do you apply? Oh, another thing is the law. Unfortunately, because a lot of the union pension funds are in critical status, they don't have the same protections that company defined benefits have. The one thing that Congress, did allow was that union pensions, when they're drowning, they can grab a retiree's pension check, okay, and cut a retiree's pension check in up to half, unless the retiree is disabled or unless the retiree is 80 years old. So you're going to want to look at that law. And then you want to apply it. Okay, how do you apply these laws? Let's look at application of the laws of union pensions. Let's look no further than the IAM. You know, the IAM National Pension Fund is just one pension plan. You got the Grand Lodge Pension Plan, you have the IAM National Pension Plan, and you have a few others. One of which is the Motor City IAM Pension Fund. Okay, so Google Motor City U.S. Treasury, for instance, and you'll see the application from the IAM Motor City Fund, okay, which became in critical status. And so what they're asking for is a cut of future benefits, a cut for active benefits, and unfortunately for our members in that pension plan, it's too late. I mean, their pension's going to get whacked, you know, and so, you know, it's in critical. And like I said, Google the case. You can go to United States Treasury and type in IAM Motor City Pension, and the case will pop up, and you'll be able to read what they're asking to cut. And I'm guessing the United States Treasury will approve it, and the plan goes immediately from critical status to green, and probably even overfunded after they wish away billions of dollars or millions of dollars in this case. I think it only involves a couple thousand participants. And so let me see there. There's other union pensions that are continuously seeking this type of relief. And so that brings us to a pension scandal. This ain't going to be friendly to talk about. This ain't going to be nice to talk about. But we can't talk about the IAM pension in its totality without mentioning the scandal of the IAM union bosses. And so you want to Google this. The scandal happened in 2014, and it wasn't good. Believe me, it wasn't good at all. You can Google Department of Labor lawsuit IAM pension, and I'll leave a link underneath the video so you can read along too. It's a 16-page document to the federal courts. There's a federal lawsuit that the federal government brought against our international president, Robert Martinez, and several other union bosses that, for the lack of a better term, they looked at our pension and figured you're going to, cash it out in their own pockets, but, whatever the case, I'm going to give you a few items about that. If you look at the scandal on, the various pages, the scandal started, and of course this involved Brother Martinez on the investment consultant. They hired an investment consultant that apparently was their buddy. I don't know the relationship, but he was outbid by even more competitive investment consultants. They picked an investment consultant named Greystone who bid $1.1 million to be the consultant for this plan, whereas the other four competing consultants bid like $400,000. That's in there, page 13 of the DOL claim, and we had an independent advisor, professional advisor that ranked these different consultants and ranked Greystone last. And so, but at any rate, Greystone, that consultant must have known Brother Martinez and Brother Roach, and so our union bosses went with the highest offer and less qualified, and they got slapped on. They got slapped in court on that one. Page 19 of the report. It wasn't just the investment consultant, but they used our money. They used our pension money. I don't know any union guy that would claim he has union blood and take the cash and money of the pension of a union worker and use it for his own good, for lavish parties and bottles of wine. I mean, I'm going to read these things off. This isn't good. It's just uncomfortable to read because I'm talking about my pension and my international president. But nonetheless, we shouldn't fear these types of things and this type of foolishness. We should attack this type of stuff and boldly proclaim what happened and notify people on this. So when I talk about the IAM Pension Fund, I got to talk about all of it. And so on page 19 of the federal government's page here, it said that the union bosses bought $1,200 bottles of wine at these expensive restaurants, and that they were only limited by the menu. I don't know, if they talked to the waiter or, scheduled this ahead of time for the $1,200 bottles of wine, but, thank God at the restaurant or, banquet facility or resort or whatever it was, thank God they didn't have $2,000 or $3,000 bottles of wine because they were only limited by the menu. They ordered the most expensive wine on the menu. It's crazy. So that's documented by the federal government, through the receipts, the objective receipts. It's not like allegations, it's not somebody's opinion, but, the documented receipts. $1,200 bottles of wine. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on holiday parties. It was like almost every time there was a holiday, these guys were like, hey, where are we going to go? And so they scheduled their quarterly meetings at lavish places as well, lavish resorts. Most of their quarterly meetings were in Hawaii, Beverly Hills, Martha's Vineyard. They had a real big one there at Martha's Vineyard. Big party. And, the money spent, the resorts documented. That was on page 19 and page 20. I mean, it wasn't just the fund participants, meaning, Martinez and, the trustees, but also their families. It specifically documents that their families, enjoyed in these pleasures as well. And one particular note on page 20 was the Bellagio Hotel. And of course, they also gave themselves a $750 each time that they went to a meeting. Never mind their expenses and all this stuff. They got a $750 tab. They gave the union pension a $750 tab just for even showing up. It's a disgrace. It's a black mark on this pension fund. And these people are the ones that are supposed to have the fiduciary responsibility to protect our pension. So that's that. Let me see. Yeah, so you can see that. I'll put that link of the scandal and the court documents. I'll put that link up underneath this video. And so, questions and answers. I'm towards the end of the video now. Like I said, it was boring. I'm not a pro at this. I'm not going to do 2 videos. I'm not going to, I know this, probably I could do a better job, but it's going to be a one-take type thing. I got things I got to do today. So, question and answer. A lot of times you have the salespeople come in, they'll talk to our negotiating team saying, well, this is the biggest pension in the United States as far as multi-employer. Well, what does that mean? Are they trying to say that they're going to reduce your risk as an individual participant? Well, I think that's what they're trying to say. But just because it's the biggest, it doesn't mean anything. They got $12 billion or $13 billion in assets. We got $12 billion in assets. Does that mean anything? Well, no, not if you got more liabilities, which they do. $14 billion in liabilities, let's say. I don't have the official number here, but I know it's more. It's an underfunded plan, so the liabilities are more than the assets. So, just because it's got 12 or 13 billion in assets doesn't mean anything if it's underfunded. You might have someone say, well, the plan's in the green zone. That's the real big one where they try to put the wool over somebody's eyes. Well, the plan's in the green zone. Well, there's a reason why it's in the green zone. Is because the members of the plan have been bailing the plan out. This plan, if you look at the plan, if you look at the health of the plan, you look at the history of the plan, you can't help but conclude now, in summary, that the plan has a hole in the boat, and then it's taken on water. And you see in 2003, you see in 2011, I mean, I was the one that helped bail it out in 2011. I took a 50%, I mean, almost a 50% cut in my benefits. And we are the bailers. We bailed it out in 2011 when it was 98% funded. Now it's at 95% funded. In the last 11 years, we see the very bad negative cash flow of, like, what did I tell you? It's $100 and some million a year. It's losing just with the cash flow. So you know, is it sustainable? You know, that's for you know, the valuation people to decide. You know, the people, we're getting older in this plan. You know, the life expectancy is getting more. The average age is getting higher. The amount of participants is becoming less, and so those aren't the things you want to see in a plan. But if you have a boat and you know you have a hole and it's filling up, and you can see that in 2011 they wiped out billions of dollars in liabilities by getting rid of the A scale and putting us on B scale. They got all the water out of the boat, and the boat was floating again. It went from 98% to 108%. Okay, so there was no water in the boat, but it starts sinking again, right? The water starts filling up. It did in 2003, it did in 2011, and it's filling up again now. Now it's 95%. It's actually more filled up now than it was when the last time they took a cut. And I got my own opinions as to why they didn't cut it last year, but you know, I'll leave that opinion out. So I mean, that's the history. That's the green zone. You know, I mean, yeah, the trustees they're going to keep this in the green zone, and the only way they can keep it in the green zone is to cut. You're going to have to bail them out, or you know, I'm going to have to bail them out again if this thing continues this way. And so green zone doesn't mean anything if you're the bailer. You know, it can go from 90. Believe me, it can go from I don't know what it is now. I know in October 16 he said it was 95%. You know, maybe it's 90% now, but you know, just based on the history, they're going to need somebody to bail that out again. And yeah, you know, they're going to keep it in the green zone, and yeah, it's going to be fully funded again. I firmly believe it's going to be fully funded, but it's going to be funded on your back once again. Guarantee, we went over guarantees, and this is a big one. Your the IAM Pension salespeople say, well, you know, the fund's guaranteed. We just went over what the guarantee means. It's, you know, it's bad. It's really bad. You know, unless you think $35 a month times the amount of years is good, you know, that is subjective. If you think that's good, you know, you put in 10 years and you know you get $350 a month. You know, if you can live off of that, you know, I think that's bad. That's not a guarantee. That's a joke. And until the United States Congress agrees to, you know, properly guarantee union pension funds, you know, that's not going to change. So, you know, and then another thing is they say, oh, well, you know, your union officers, they're in charge, and, you know, they're on the plan trustees, and it's their fiduciary responsibility, and, you know, they're not going to screw you over. Really? Well, we're already seeing with the scandal what our pension means to them and how they pissed away our money. So, at any rate, that's all I have. You can hit me up online. There's other questions. Listen to your you know, hopefully the negotiating team gets the copies of this and gets educated, because you got to go to the members if you're a negotiator, if you're going to negotiate these things in the contracts. And you just can't say, oh, you know, the plan is big, the plan is in the green zone, the plan is funded, it's, you know, a union pension plan, because a lot of people are ignorant. They think, oh, union pension plan, oh, I got a union pension plan, that's great. Well, you know, I mean, that might have been great in the 1950s, but the laws have changed, and the guarantees have changed, the fundings have changed, the policies have changed, and so, you know, you have to consider all this stuff. And number one, you got to consider the present health of the plan, and in the direction of these defined benefit plans under the multi-employer. Thanks for listening. You know, have a good weekend. Bye.